What's going on, guys? This is Miasin, and welcome to my Cyber Dragon Splight deck profile. This deck is sick. I have nothing else to say. Well, I mean, I have a few things to say, actually. Friendly reminder to like and subscribe. You already know it. Check me out on Twitch and Instagram, all the beautiful fun stuff. And let's try to get this video to 1,000 likes so we can get that live stream already. Goddamn, I'm really trying to play this deck, man. I love Cyber Dragons. I'm the biggest Cyber Dragon fan you will probably ever meet in your entire life. I've been playing this deck since like 2005. It's actually crazy how I'm like super old school at this deck, but yeah, sick deck. Anyways, so we're playing 2 copies of Therion's King Regulus with 1 Cyber Dragon, 2 Galaxy Soldier, 3 Cyber Dragon Core, 1 Cyber Dragon Nextra, and 1 Cyber Dragon Hertz. So these are the machine monsters that we're playing, and the core of the Cyber Dragon strategy. So Regulus is actually pretty interesting because it kind of gets you a kind of, I don't know really how, well, I mean a backup recovery play, because equipping back the Cyber Dragon Hertz from the graveyard to it in the spell and trap zone is insane, because when it leaves the field to go to the graveyard, you're going to be triggering the Hertz again in order to either search for the real Cyber Dragon from your deck to your hand, or recycle back any Cyber Dragon from your graveyard to your hand, because they're all treated as Cyber Dragon in the graveyard. Except for the big boys in the extra deck. Well, Cyber Dragon Seeger is a Cyber Dragon in the grave, but whatever. And yeah, we're not trying to play Cyber Dragon Fear or like multiple copies of Herds, because it is a level 1, so this card does not have much synergy with the Splight monsters whatsoever. However, Core definitely does, and Cyber Dragon Nextra at like 2 or 3 would be super bricky. Machine Dupe in this deck would be insanely bricky. You're going to have a lot of unplayable hands every now and then, and I just don't recommend it. So I think this is like the perfect ratios for the Cyber Dragon monsters. Now, if you want to play like 3 Regulus or like 2 Regulus with like 2 to 3 field spells, it's really up to you, but honestly, like 2 Regulus and 1 field spell makes it so you never brick too much on like redundant cards. So I really like this. And for the handshop lineup, I'm on 3 Ash, 2 Ogre, 2 Valor, and 3 Imperm, so 10 handshops in total, but that is extremely interchangeable depending on the format that we are. Ash is just like the most generic one, so it hits pretty much everyone just equally. And then Ogre is a very silver bullet card because it's bad against a lot of decks, but when it is good, it is very good. It can act as like a gamma in a way, because some cards have to stay on the field in order to resolve, and that is the case with cards like continuous spell cards, field spells, and also Gigantic Splight, because it does not detach for cost. So if you use Ghost Ogre on it, it simply does not have the ability to fully resolve, and therefore it'll just go to the grave and do nothing at all. And yeah, Effect Veiler is a card that you can pitch with Galaxy Soldier, but since it can get hit by Call by the Grave and it turns on triple tactic talents and stuff like that, I just felt like Imperm would have been better, and also Imperm can deal with like annoying floodgates and stuff like that. So even if you don't necessarily main deck back removal, sometimes when you have a card like Imperm, you can inherently deal with floodgates like There Can Only Be One, Rivalry Goes in Match, etc. And that is the reason why I actually encourage people to play Imperm as their first or second handshop, because it's the kind of handshop that acts as a pseudo like breakthrough scale Fiendish Chain of back in the days, but also when you want it to be a Veiler, it also is a Veiler. And again, it doesn't have the same weakness as Veiler. So yeah, it really is up to you whether you want to play like 3 Veiler, 2 Imperm, or like the other way around. But I want to say Imperm usually is a little better than Veiler. Again, there are some exceptions, like if you're trying to play Needle Fiber into Celine into Access Code, but whatever, you get the deal. So yeah. Anyways, for these Splight monsters, I'm playing 3 Jet, 3 Blue, which are both the starter monsters. So this searches a monster and this searches a spell, but the spell summons a monster from the deck. So basically, if you have any of these, you get to do the full thing. Well, granted that you get to special summon it. And then, of course, we play 1 Red and 1 Carrot. Red is the monster negate, and Carrot is the spell or trap negate. So that's about it for these monsters. And now for these spell cards, obviously I'm playing 3 Cyber Emergency. Like, why wouldn't I? Like, I don't think there's ever been a build of like actual Cyber Dragons where you weren't trying to max out on the main consistency cards. Because Cyber Dragon doesn't actually increase the consistency of your deck whatsoever. If anything, it decreases it because you might start drawing it in duplicates. But Cyber Dragon Core is the kind of card that you're always trying to see. And Cyber Emergency just happens to search Cyber Dragon Core, whereas Repair Plant doesn't necessarily search anything, because you only get to trigger its effect when you have at least 1 Cyber Dragon in your graveyard, and that's a little bit of a bummer. However, Cyber Repair Plant does have the flexibility of searching Galaxy Soldier or Jizukiru, because those are light machine monsters that Cyber Emergency cannot search, because Cyber Emergency only can search Cyber Dragons or light machines that cannot be normal summoned, such as the Drytron monsters or Cyber Eltanin. So I hope this was a good explanation, but again, if you have any questions or if you're hesitating on anything, please let us all know in the comment section below. I will try to answer my best to every single question, but if I can't answer, I'm pretty sure some sick-ass geniuses in the comment section will be able to help you out. So yeah, definitely don't hesitate there. And then we have, of course, Call by the Grave. Call by the Grave is just overall a pretty good card, even when you're not actually scared of hand shops. But I mean, to be fair, this deck would rather not lose to hand shops, so Call by the Grave is definitely very appreciated. Cyberload Fusion, so you have a way to just have an insta-win button sometimes. But to be completely fair with you, you don't necessarily have to play it. It's just that I really like the synergy with Cybernetic Overflow. However, if you want to play Overload Fusion instead, that is actually 100% respectable because this deck is completely different from the typical Cyber Dragon Trap deck that I usually show to people. So yeah, do not compare this to Cyber Dragon Trap, or do not even compare this to like the typical Cyber Dragon OTK deck that would be playing Machine Dupe and multiple Cyber Dragons and stuff like that. This has nothing to do with it. This is a deck that has a lot of starters and a lot of consistency cards that can actually choose to go first if it really wants to. So it depends on the format, of course, because you would want to go second if your Chimera techs have a lot of inherent value. So if your Mega Fleet and Fortress can like shut down, I don't know, Appaloosa or like big machine monsters. I remember that in the Sky Striker, Orchist, and Salamangreat format, those Chimera tech monsters were insane. But right now, I don't know if like they're still very good. So that's why I keep saying that going first in Cyber Dragon is very dependent on whether your deck can afford to go first because it is consistent enough and can actually snowball, and, you know, if contact fusing is not really an option. So, yeah. Anyways, that's pretty much it I want to say for most of these cards. I think the final cards that I should explain would be Splight Smashers, which is a pretty nice card because in the pure Splight deck, you can't use any of the effects outside of the final one to banish a card your opponent controls. However, in this build, you can revive back your Therion's King Regulus, which is pretty cool because it's an Omni-Negate. And you also have the Field Spell, which searches your Regulus, but also on top of that, if a monster would be destroyed by battle, you can Foolish one Therion cards instead, and if a monster is destroyed by battle, you can recycle back a Therion monster from your graveyard to your hand. So in other words, even if you get ashed on the Field Spell, you can still access your Therion's King Regulus because you can pretend like you're crashing your own monster, and that would be Foolishing for your Regulus, and then you can really jump over an opponent's monster and recycle back the Regulus that way, and you still have your Omni-Negate with potentially the Cyber Dragon Hurts in the Spell and Trap zone, which is like my favorite setup ever, man. I freaking love this. So yeah, 40 cards in the main deck. You might play Pot of Prosperity if you really want to. I think you can definitely afford it, so yeah. Anyways, for the extra deck now, we are on 2 copies of Chimera Tech Mega Fleet Dragon. This one is the one for the extra monster zone, and Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon is for the machine monsters, not necessarily on the extra monster zone. However, one cool thing about Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon is that since it requires Cyber Dragon, not necessarily a Cyber Dragon monster, it can actually use Cyber Dragon in the Spell and Trap zone that was equipped to Therion's King Regulus. I know a lot of people don't know that because for them, it would seem so unlikely that you can actually contact fuse for a fusion monster using a card in the Spell and Trap zone. But trust me, you actually can do that. So very unique play. But yeah, using just a card in your Spell and Trap zone and either monsters on your opponent's field or your field, you can make a Fortress. And if you're playing Dingirsu, well, that's an easy level 8 fusion monster that you get to summon. And Regulus is also a level 8 fusion, so a level 8 monster, so you can make Dingirsu, send a card, and then make Zeus, just like that. And then Rampage, Zeus, speaking of the devil, Infinity, Nova, Gigantic Splight. Please take note that this card does require lock you under level, rank, or link to monsters for the rest of the turn, so you try to summon Gigantic Splight at the very end of your combo, not super early. And finally, Cyber Dragon Seeger, Dark, Lina, double copies of Splight Elf, Anaconda, which honestly doesn't come up if you're running Cyberload, so that's the reason why Overload Fusion is a great idea. And finally, Salamangreat Elmirage, and to be fair, my idea section is just irrelevant cards, so I'm not even going to go over them. So that's pretty much it for this deck profile. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.